Sometimes cheaters get called out on paternity court.
How do you keep an 8-year affair a secret?
I mean, like,
Go ahead and talk to him, because I can see you.
I'm sorry.
I understand, Felicia.
I am so sorry that I did this to you.
I feel like my kids don't deserve this. My daughter don't. She's only 10 days old. My family's on the line. I'm sorry, it's emotional.
Mr. Robinson thought he was happily married to Miss Fuller for 12 years. But then one unfortunate day, she broke some terrible news to him, that he was not the only man in her life. That's why, ding ding, paternity doubt.
I take him to the birthday party. Later on, after the party is over, I drop him off at his grandmother's, where I thought Miss Fuller would be. Well, she didn't come down, that was fine, it was okay. So another day passed. I'm calling all day the next day, no answer. Maybe a day or so, I'm starting to get these phone calls, but they're private.
During their financial struggles, Miss Fuller's thoughts were consumed by the man with whom she had slept. Finally, guilt took such a toll on Mommy that she went MIA for the entire week.
You kept the whole relationship a secret, hence the private number. And all the while, Mr. Robinson, you're bonding with this baby is named after you.
Oh yeah.
It's your son.
Sleeping on my chest at night. I mean, I barely move. I mean, you know, like I would sleep like this, real quiet, real move, real.
I know that move.
Wow, that was brutal of you, Miss Fuller. No way to treat your man. Poor Mr. Robinson was stuck in some really bad business until Brandon Jr. came along and helped him out of the strains of possibly being cheated on. But now it was time to dig up some dirt.
Well, actually, I sat down on the couch at first, so I handed her the phone. I was like, read this. So she reading it, got a little look on her face or whatever. And I got up after that, and I went to the washer, and I started taking clothes out the washer and out the dryer and all of that stuff. But I'm like, leave Brandon, because you gotta work tomorrow anyway, and it was my day to keep him anyway.
After hearing Mr. Robinson's story, Judge Lauren asks Miss Fuller the details of the affair. When she admits she had an on and off again thing with the guy for 8 years, the entire audience boos at her. What kind of married woman does this behind her husband's back?
I wasn't supposed to have kids.
What do you have there?
A calendar.
A calendar you presented here indicates in 2004, you meet the other potential father.
Yes, Your Honor.
And during the time of conception, you were with this other guy as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Robinson, I can tell by the look on your face you did not know this.
When Mr. Robinson finds out his wife was with the other guy during the time of conception, it's like someone ripped his heart out. He's super confused about his child's paternity, and the entire audience has one thing on its mind. How did Miss Fuller keep such a long affair a secret?
If he is his biological father, does he want to be a part of Brandon Jr.'s life?
I wouldn't want him to be a part of his life, because he's not like the type of guy that you just want to raise your kid, or, you know.
It's just the kind you just want to go to his house every time you get in an argument with your boyfriend.
At the time, yes.
Looks like Miss Fuller's mistake will cost her a good man as well as her son, because the other guy doesn't want to raise this kid. And now Miss Fuller's gonna reap what she's sown. One thing's clear, Mr. Robinson's not going to get back with Miss Fuller. How does that make her feel?
I'm gonna come back, you know, be with you. I won't be there like
But
that.
that's not why I broke up with you.
But I will
Why did you
always
break
be there.
up
Yeah,
with
I would love.
I did it for myself. I did it because I need to learn how to love myself more, instead of trying to build a relationship with somebody and I'm not loving myself. I'm loving you more than I'm loving me. Like, that's not right. I need to build myself up. So that's why I broke up with him.
As the case moves forward, Mr. Robinson withdraws his petition to have the baby's name changed. He did that out of anger, and now he's realizing he's better than that. Well, it's time to open up the results and see whose baby this beautiful boy is.
Mr. Brandon Robinson Sr., you are his father. Well, I don't even have to ask you how you feel.
Oh, man. You know, this the best day ever. You know how you always say, best day ever, so.
Mr. and Mrs. Johnson are fighting over the paternity of their daughter. Mr. Johnson is 100% certain that his wife cheated on him, and now he wants his name removed from the birth certificate. But Miss Johnson has other things in mind.
I feel like my kids don't deserve this. My daughter don't. She's only 10 days old. Finding numbers in his phone, finding pictures. Like, I find it for that moment, he'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, but then he'd go right back to doing it. I left.
A lot of it was like business. She was
That's what he
like, I'm
claimed.
an artist. I deal with a lot of women.
But it don't have to be, oh, you're beautiful.
Upon hearing Miss Johnson's excuses, Mr. Johnson says he's just trying to protect himself. They've had a rocky relationship, and he spent a lot of time on the streets with other women. he was the one who started this cycle of infidelity.
We always had a rocky relationship. 10 years, separated numerous times, mostly because of me. I was always in the streets. This was like a normal thing for me. Being in the streets, being gone, you know, dealing with other women. It was always, I never really cared the way I should, you know. After we lost our child, I just didn't take heed to it.
After the separation, Mrs. Johnson had to go through a whole pregnancy alone. But fate had other plans because she ended up getting a miscarriage. At that time, it was Mr. Johnson who came through for her. They tried getting back together, but things turned bad again.
She never addressed me enough to make me feel like a man. I feel like I was
addressing too many other women. So
I feel like a supporter.
Why should I be there?
Don't say you didn't feel like a man, because I always say, if you a man, you feel like a man. A woman can't make you feel or not make you feel like a man. A man is a man.
So once they reunited again, Mrs. Johnson realized she hadn't been completely honest with her husband. She decided to confess to him how she thinks the baby might be another man's because she had sex with both of them during the window of conception.
In the beginning, it was like, I'll be there. But like, if she's mine, I'll be there. But then after she was born, I asked him to come to paternity court. He said, I must have doubt or I must feel like it's his, and I was doing like it was ridiculous for him to come.
When did you two reconnect? Can you tell me specifically when that was?
On June 20th.
All right.
Mrs. Johnson even informed the other guy about the paternity, but even though he promised he'd be there, he ended up bailing out. After Judge Lauren does some calculating herself, she thinks that this case needs paternity testing to settle matters for the best.
I found that there was sufficient evidence to order both of you to submit to DNA testing at our laboratory since our last hearing. What has gone through your mind?
No matter what the outcome is, I just want to be able to deal with it.
How about you, Miss Johnson?
Well, I've been nervous. Kind of scared.
Before announcing the results, the judge has to make sure Mr. and Mrs. Johnson will be able to handle the news properly. After all, they don't know what's going to hit them. They've had a miscarriage before, so they must know how to deal with this. After setting them up with a marriage counselor, Judge Lauren finally opens up the results.
Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
That's great news. Absolutely.
So happy.
Wow.
My nerves were shot, honey. I was like, woo! I'm so happy for you all.
Mr. Jameson has been with Miss Smith enough to know she's never changing her cheating lifestyle. Her actions made him doubt whether Malachi and Michael are his children, and no matter how much Miss Smith tries to save this family, he's backing off.
How long after that did she kick you out?
I say probably like a month she kicked me out.
And did you want to go back with your ex, Miss Smith?
I did, but then I ended up back with him. I told him I didn't want to go to my exes. I was done with it, and I went
Because she knew what
right
was
back
right for
with
her,
him.
Your Honor.
So you asked him to come back on home?
Yeah.
Who were you with before you asked him to come back?
2 dudes, Your Honor.
But when Mr. Jameson moved in again, he caught her texting multiple men. She was telling them she was using Mr. Jameson and she never loved him. Of course, Mr. Jameson ended up confronting her and leaving her. The moment he left, she had sex with a guy from her neighbors.
He told me yes. When she kicked me out, she had sex with him too. And there's another guy.
A third guy?
Yeah, there's a third guy.
Who told you this?
I found it in the phone. The
Ooh,
phone
you can't
tells
stay
it.
out that phone,
Nah,
can
I couldn't. And the saddest thing was I really wasn't trying to say things because I'm going snooping for things. So I can't really be too mad, but I'm mad.
Miss Smith has zero shame regarding her behavior, and that's got the audience jeering at her. Even Judge Lauren is concerned because Miss Smith isn't denying any of the cheating accusations. Yet, she's still insisting that both kids belong to Mr. Jameson. How can that be possible?
Both of my kids, which I know he is the father, he don't want to
It's
man
not
up.
about manning up.
It is about manning up.
Kids, you know what I'm saying?
That means financially, physically, all that, Benjamin.
I've been there too. I bought diapers, bought clothes,
How many
toys.
times? How many
it's not
times?
about how many times. I do it when they need it.
So, Miss Smith, what happened to the relationship after Malachi was born?
We break up, get back together.
Mr. Jameson wants answers. For 4 years, they were together, and he caught her texting sexual stuff to other people. But then she lies straight to the judge and says that those were just texts. She never really committed to doing anything physical. After that, she ended up pregnant.
Well, I got pregnant around the end of August, early September with Michael. Around October, mid-October, early October, I did start seeing someone else. I didn't get my menstrual cycle. So I went to the doctors and they told me, okay, I'm pregnant. I'm like, okay, so soon I tell guy I was dating, because I thought it was his.
So you told the other guy first,
Yes.
I'm pregnant and this is your baby.
Yeah.
The judge is concerned whether Mr. Jameson is involved in the lives of the kids, and he says he tries as much as he can. He buys them diapers and brings them toys whenever he can. But he does regret signing the birth certificate because he can't fully commit unless he knows they're his flesh and blood.
These papers right here, if they're not mine, I got the applications for the change name right here.
Because you don't want them to have your last name.
She gave Michael my name in the hospital. I didn't even give her permission to do that.
But like deep down, he knows they're both his. He knows. Benjamin,
don't
you know
know.
this. Yes, you do.
So we
you
won't
sit
be
there
here
like,
today if
come
I
on
knew.
now. I'm to prove to you also.
Ms. Smith has no right to act all high and mighty when it's her fault that her relationship with Mr. Jameson is so damaged. Judge Lauren scolds her in front of the whole courtroom, but instead of learning a thing or two, she starts blaming Mr. Jameson again.
And when I found out how far along our pregnant was, I came straight to Ben and I told him, I said, this is your baby. 3 months, but when I found out I was pregnant 3 months ago, I didn't know that guy.
There's probably guys I don't even know about. But the thing is, I still loved her. And it's like, I didn't want to fully leave her, but
Because you do love her.
Right.
In the end, the kids don't need to have parents constantly arguing with each other. It's bad vibes, and if these two want their children to grow up feeling safe, they'll have to work on this relationship. And that's what the judge tells them before she asks Jerome for the envelope.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jameson, you are the father.
I'm relieved. I'm happy. I'm happy.
Judge Lauren has never seen a case like this before. Mr. Nicholas has brought his wife into court because he doesn't trust her at all. In fact, he's doubting he even fathered 4-year-old Naomi and 1-year-old Nathaniel. Mr. Nicholas even has evidence against Mrs. Nicholas.
The sushi spot I used to work at, it's a hot tub. People come in. Some guy comes up to me and tells me straight up to my face that my wife is performing oral sex in the bathroom.
Oh, wait a minute. You're at work at the sushi restaurant.
Yes, ma'am.
And a guy just comes up to you
and tells me that she's performing oral sex in the bathroom.
Mr. Nicholas starts the story with his favorite sushi place, where a waiter one day told him how Mrs. Nicholas was giving oral sex to strangers in the washroom. Because he was working, he couldn't get proof. But then more people started approaching him with similar stories.
And so I had to watch him. And then after the show was done, some lady comes up, tells me straight to my face that my wife was having sex in the ride.
Having sex in the ride? First of all, why would I have sex while my daughter was in the ride with me? And the chair moves. Come on, I'm not that dumb.
Yeah, let me get my point straight. Then why did my 7-year-old daughter come tell me straight to my face that you're jumping up and down some dude's lap?
Once Mrs. Nicholas got caught by her daughter, it was the end for Mr. Nicholas. But he still gave it a chance. He thought she would change her ways, until she got caught having an affair with one of Mr. Nicholas's co-workers at a restaurant. But why would Mrs. Nicholas cheat?
How did you find out that she had slept with the coworker that got the diaper?
She told me she left her panties there.
I did not leave panties there.
What?
No.
No, you told me you left your panties there.
Oh my
Would
God.
you know the panties were missing? I'm not understanding.
No, she told me
You just told
I left my panties there.
I never said that. Excuse me.
With Mr. Nicholas opening up Mrs. Nicholas's secrets, she ends up feeling frustrated. She gets back at him by saying he was emotionally cheating on her with another woman. He would go to her and tell this other lady all their relationship problems. So she went and cheated on Mr. Nicholas with his look-alike.
I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
I told you I wrote a letter when you were out of business. Come on now.
Please tell the court why.
Why did you do that? Yeah, tell me.
Why? I'm sorry. It just looked like you.
Oh.
I mess with him, but it just looked like I was thinking about you most of the time. Come on now.
They ended up fighting about whether the kids look like Mr. Nicholas or not. He says there's zero resemblance between them. Judge Lauren asks Mrs. Nicholas why she can't stop cheating, and she says it's because she's tired of the way Mr. Nicholas treats her.
The last time was his business trip. I mean, I said wrote a letter and told you the truth. Excuse me.
How many? How many times?
How many times?
How many times have you had sex?
How many times? Less than 10 different guys.
While we're still married. While we're still married.
Some of them, I don't sleep with them. Yeah, I kiss them. Is that cheating? Kissing is cheating?
Mrs. Nicholas openly admits that she keeps some men for sleeping with, and some she just kisses when she's bored. The audience gasps, and even Judge Lauren can't believe the audacity of this woman. Because of her behavior, Mr. Nicholas is now sleeping at another woman's place.
Sounds like to me that both of you are accusing the other one of doing a lot of things, but the problem is that both of you are doing the other things. I'm looking at Mr. Nicholas right now, and I see a man that's standing here emotional still over his wife, so I see love.
The problem here isn't just the paternity. Of course, those two kids need to know who their real father is, but can Mr. and Mrs. Nicholas make this marriage work? Even though they've hurt each other, they still love each other a lot. Can the results give them the answers they want?
Mr. Nicholas, you are his father.
Exactly, I told you from the beginning.
How do you feel, Mr. Nicholas?
Relieved, really relieved.